Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of One Another Marriage with Dr. David and Theresa Mabry, where we seek to strengthen marriages and relationships so that you can have greater impact on the world around you and greater satisfaction within yourselves. What we find is that a stronger marriage equals greater satisfaction. Stronger marriage means that you are positioned to influence those around you in a positive way. And that includes children, relatives, neighbors, friends, so forth and so on. So welcome. Glad you're all here. Was that a little chuckle from Theresa Mabry?
That was. Sorry. Hi.
Hi.
Yeah.
You liked that introduction, didn't you?
I don't know. I think it was just, I don't know. It was the look on your face. All of a sudden, it just kind of made me chuckle what you were saying. I don't know.
My face has that effect on you.
Yes, it does.
Sometimes you just got to look and say and chuckle. You got to say a chuckle.
Yep.
Yeah. So today's episode, what's going on today?
Yeah. So today, part two of studying personality types, right? Yeah. And we are unpacking specifically the Myers-Briggs Temperament Inventory. And we will be dealing with two of the last two letters. Your Myers-Briggs has 4 letters in it, and we'll be dealing with the last 2 letters and the dichotomies that are between them. We have thinking, feeling, or judging and perceiving. Once again, suspend your definitions of those words because it doesn't always mean the exact same. Especially the judging. Yeah, judging right. Does not mean what we normally would put the definition of judging with. So,
yeah, we will cover that. For sure.
So we're going to cover. So this is part 2, and if you didn't get a chance to catch part 1, we're going to give you a quick summary in just a moment. But first, we're going to give a shout out.
Can I do a shout out?
Yeah.
Can I do a shout out? Our shout out city out there is listening is Germantown, Wisconsin, ladies and gentlemen. We want to give a shout out to Germantown, Wisconsin. There is a listener or listeners.
Awesome.
Maybe a couple. There's a one another couple out there in Germantown, Wisconsin. If that's you, if you are in Germantown, Wisconsin, hey, thanks for listening.
Right.
We really appreciate it. And it's a privilege to be able to partner with you. And we hope that One Another Marriage podcast is a help to you and your relationships around you. So, hey, reach out to us on Facebook or YouTube comment section, or you can even email us.
Or the website. Yep, you can let us know through the website as well. So
email at info@oneanothermarriage.org.
Nice.
That's it. So if you want to. So, hey, thanks for listening way up there in Wisconsin.
That's right.
Have we been to Wisconsin?
I have. You have not, I don't think.
I feel like I went as a child.
Oh, well, maybe you did when your family did that one trip out west. Did you hike up into Wisconsin? My family did.
Yeah.
And so I have a particular story, I think, that happened in Wisconsin.
Really?
I believe it was in Wisconsin, but I would need to verify that one with my mom to verify before I go share.
I have no idea where Germantown, Wisconsin is. I'm sure that's a quick Google
I don't
search,
either.
But I didn't even look it up before we started the podcast.
Well, we need to do that.
I know. We need to look that up.
Okay.
So,
maybe we'll go visit one day.
Yeah. No, there you go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There you go.
There's the shout out for the week. The city of the week. The One Another City.
Awesome. So, we are glad that you guys are back with us, though, today. And today we'll be wrapping up the 4 letters of the Myers-Briggs. And we will be giving you the part 1 summary in just a second. But this is our time for us to share the puzzle.
Okay.
And it should be your turn.
It is my turn.
But can I share one from today and interject?
Yes.
Okay.
You can share today.
All right. So we're at the end of August.
Yes. Here we are.
At the end of August.
August 31st.
Yes.
Welcome.
Yes.
Welcome.
And it's been very hot where we reside. All right.
Yeah.
Not nearly as hot if you are a listener in the northwest states, quadrants. I
Well,
know Oregon, Washington, like
even Germantown, Wisconsin. I wonder if it's hot
well,
there.
no, I'm talking about like earlier in the summer, like they were having
Oh, that
super
kind of
hot,
hot,
115 degrees, right?
Yeah.
So, okay. But it has been very hot because we're about 6 or 7 degrees above what it's registering just due to humidity, right?
Mhm.
And things. So it's, I'm coming home from work and it is 1:30 in the afternoon. So it's in almost the peak of the heat of the day.
Mhm.
It's registering 91, 97 on the heat index. Okay, 97.
Yeah,
All
hot.
right. And as I'm driving up the hill, coming home from work there's a biker.
Mhm.
And he has on a long sleeve hooded sweatshirt.
What?
The hood is up. The bike helmet is over top of the hood on his head, and the sleeves are all the way down.
You are kidding.
I'm not. I about wrecked my car just staring at him because I was like, what in the world are you thinking?
That's for sure.
I mean, I'm not against exercise. And I myself, when I was running and doing the half marathons, there were lots of times where the only time I could fit in a run was sometimes in the middle of the day. Not the best time to do it, but that's what you have to do when you're training. So I'm not against it, but I have to question, what in the world are you training for that you would want to be wearing a long sleeve hooded sweatshirt, biking, and where he was, that location, he was probably headed down to the Alum Creek Dam area, right?
Yeah.
And
we have a recreational area. There's a dam that, and there's a reservoir, and it's a beautiful park area with a really long trail across,
long bike path and all
dam.
that stuff
and
around.
So this guy was headed that direction.
Wow. I mean, there was still a long, a long amount for him to go. And if he did live in one of the neighborhoods near where I saw him, he still had gone far and gone out. But yeah, that is a puzzle.
Wow. That is quite a puzzle, hon.
What would you be doing? What in the world would you be training for?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Or why? Maybe you're not training for anything.
Yeah.
But why would you think that would be, I don't know. You might as well, let's go out and mow our lawn right now and put on like long sleeves, hooded sweatshirt. Just wow.
That is quite a puzzle. That's a good one. That is a mystery.
There you go.
I'm glad you snagged the puzzle.
I had to get
for the
that
week.
off my brain.
Yeah.
There you are.
I'm glad you snagged it. All right. So here's the deal.
Part 1 summary.
We want to continue to encourage folks. Do puzzles within your own relationship or high-low, or it's the key is do something that connects you on a regular basis. So, but hey, last week what we covered for Myers-Briggs, we thought we were going to do two-part series. We're going to end up doing a 3-part series, and we covered the Myers-Briggs. We said that there are many personality temperaments. If you did not listen to part 1, please go back and listen to it. But the summary would be this, is that there are 4 dichotomies with the Myers-Briggs Temperament Inventory. It's not a test. It's just a snapshot of a personality. And the personality then is measured by 4 different major areas. Dichotomies are just opposites, right? And
fancy word for opposites.
That's right. And so you have a preference, like you have a preference for being either right-handed or left-handed. You can still write with the other hand. It's just not as comfortable. And so same for preferences. So the first one that we covered of the 4 was extraversion and introversion. And extroversion, this question that goes with this one is, where do you get your energy from? Extroverts gain their energy from the outer world, like being with people and interacting with the world around them. And introverts gain their energy from their inner world. So it's being with fewer people, being by themselves, being more reflective with things. And then the second one that we had was sensing and intuition. And remember these definition terms, we have to suspend some of our definitions that we traditionally go with some of these words. So the definition according to Myers-Briggs would be a sensing person would would be more of one that's detail oriented, and intuition is more big picture and looks forward. Once again, the key is and this is how you take in information is the question.
That's
how
correct.
do you take
how
in
do you
information?
take in information? That's right.
Going there. So do you see it as like a present realities and verifiable facts? That's a sensing person. Or do you see the future possibilities and the big picture?
Mm-hmm.
And so the main thing that we wanted to pull is its impact upon these dichotomies and their impact upon relationships, upon couples, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, right. And so in looking at who you are and understanding who you are, that plays a lot into the relationship. And then accepting your partner's personality, right? And understanding that this is not something that you can change. You may have an impact on them in certain ways, but it doesn't mean that you're going to make them into a whole different person. Okay. So, and we talked about that a little bit with like, your, intuition, you're a strong N and I'm a strong S, right?
Yes.
And we both have impacted each other just by being together and accepting how each of us view things. But it's still, you can't make me into this big picture type of person.
Yeah.
It's just not who I am.
Mm-hmm.
But I have greater respect for those who can do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's where like we help impact one another, but we're not going to change the other person.
We've learned how to work as a team.
Yes.
And that's what
which everybody has to do.
Yes, exactly.
That's the goal.
And you were absolutely correct. We said last week, we'll repeat again this week because it'll set up our content for the rest of our time together.
Right.
And that is, as you alluded, it's about self-awareness.
Mm-hmm.
It's about your partner
Then having
awareness,
couple awareness.
and then having couple awareness.
Right.
So those three things: self-awareness, partner awareness, and then couple awareness. Self-awareness is knowing yourself and knowing how to respond accordingly with your strengths and your areas that maybe you're not strong in, and for your partner to know their strengths and maybe understand the areas that they're not strong. And then together as a couple, how do you form? So if you're both extroverts, maybe knowing that you can run in that world where you get your energy, but let's say you both are opposites. You both are, one's extrovert, one's an introvert. So the idea is to understand yourself, understand your partner, understand yourselves as a couple going forward so you can work as a team.
Mm-hmm. All right. So are we ready?
Today we're gonna knock out the other two, and then we're gonna circle back around at the very end. Hold on to the very end of our time together, because we'll summarize with how these four components go together. Four dichotomies for an individual go together.
Sure.
To make up 16.
Yes, there are six. Yes, in the traditional Myers-Briggs assessment, you have 16 different personality types. You are one of those 16. You and I are opposite on this next one. We're opposite on sensing and intuition. Mm-hmm.
We're the same on extroversion, but we're opposite on this next one. And the next one, the words we use are thinking and feeling.
Yes.
Once again, suspend your definition, folks, of these words, because Myers-Briggs uses them a little differently. People with a thinking preference, they make decisions. They base their decisions on impersonal and objective logic. So this is how we make decisions. It's very logical-minded people are thinking people.
Yes.
Right? And people who are more have a feeling preference, they make their decisions based upon personal priorities and their relationships. So people. So to be able to look from the outside in and empathize more with people.
So
when
these
making
two
decisions.
Yeah, so these two we really don't have to suspend definitions quite as much, because a thinking is going to be. I mean, when you say you're a thinking person, I think a lot of people will automatically go to, oh, okay, they center around facts and logic on
Yes.
that. And I think if you say you're a feeling person, they're obviously going to connect some type of like emotion with that feeling.
Mhm.
And basically it's assessing the feelings and the general emotion of everyone else before they make the decision, because they want to know how that's going to impact.
Yeah.
So
that.
these two really
Mhm.
are a little bit more like what they,
In a way, if
right.
one wants to take that decision, because
it's not a big leap though to get to that.
because here's an important point, and that is, someone has a feeling preference.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean they don't think.
Absolutely.
It doesn't mean it.
Right.
So people with a feeling can be logical,
Sure.
but they're going to be more empathetic with their logic. They're going to be relational. They're going to have personal priorities. At the same time, someone with thinking doesn't mean they're heartless.
Right.
It doesn't mean they don't care about people,
Right.
but they're going to analyze and look at things objectively, and they can still truly care for people.
Right.
So for some further description would be a thinking preference would step back and get an objective view. They analyze, they look at cause and effect, a reasoning, and they solve problems with logic, as we said.
Okay.
Those that prefer feeling would step in to identify with others, and they're guided by personal and group values. They assess the impact of decisions on people. How does it impact people around them? And so good words. Let's look at the words. The words
All right.
for this. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Here goes. Thinking words would be head, detached, things, objective, critique, analyze, firm but fair. And then
Those are some good words.
yeah.
Let's hold on to those for just a minute.
Who's that sound like, by the way?
Head, detach. See, it was just funny that you say those two together, because it just makes me think of a detached head, which if it's a detached head from the body, then it is heartless.
Oh my.
It has no feeling.
I had a really good academic flow going there.
Sorry.
And
This is what I'm here for.
that's right.
This is what I'm here for.
Because we did agree
That is
last
coming.
episode that you were going to keep me from nerding out too
Exactly.
much.
And, I got to keep the peeps entertained. So, but right there, that just shows
We need to keep
that
Germantown,
it's
Wisconsin.
Germantown, Wisconsin. Hang in there with us.
Hang in.
That shows right there that that I'm just being silly,
hey,
but
Germantown, Wisconsin. Teresa's here for you,
but
just so
yeah.
you know. All right,
Okay,
so here it goes.
Head, detach, logic,
Things, objective,
Keep going.
analyze, critique,
yeah,
firm
critique.
but fair.
Firm but fair. That, ladies and gentlemen, is David Mabry. Ding, ding, ding.
Heartless. It's not the first time I've been accused of that.
I was going to say.
I am ladies and gentlemen, if you're catching, I'm a very clear thinking preference
Yes.
on the Myers-Briggs.
Very clear.
I make decisions, to me, I make decisions black and white, objective,
Firm but fair.
Firm but fair.
That is him.
And
if you are in a group setting outside of you and I, but it's like maybe 4 or 5 more people, and I'm included, if there's too much feeling going on with a decision, you literally will step back because it's like an emotional allergy for you. You're like, okay, I can't. Now, if you really do have skin in the game, you'll let us kind of discuss, and then you'll like, zoom, like hit us with the, okay, well, I
hit you with the logic.
Here's the logic. Here's what we should do.
I'll drop some logic.
Yeah. But there are a lot of times. Where if you don't need to help with the logic or make the decision, you will literally remove yourself from the group and step back, because you can just see it's like uncomfortable.
Yep.
Okay, go on.
I like some of these descriptions, by the way. Another part is they strive, this is me, strive for objective standard truth, are reasonable, quote unquote reasonable, can be tough-minded, are fair, and want everyone to be treated equally. So yeah, that's right.
Yep.
That's right. Now, You've met David Mabry. Folks, now let's meet Theresa Mabry.
Let's meet Theresa. Give me the keywords here.
Keywords for feeling. A feeling preference go like this: heart, personal, people, subjective, praise, understand, merciful. I'm getting twitchy just reading the list. So these folks strive for harmony and positive interactions, are compassionate, and may appear, quote, tender-hearted, unquote, are fair, want everyone to be treated as an individual.
Yeah, and sometimes I don't, I know they'll live in harmony with one another. Yeah, sometimes that's me. Maybe it is more than whatever. I don't know. When I think of like harmony, living in harmony with one another, it's like a little bit too touchy-feely for me. I don't know. I'm a feeler, but I am I want everyone to be included, and I want to make sure, especially in a, if it really is, I mean, like, and this was how we kind of raised our family as well, was, when there were some decisions to be made. I mean, obviously there were decisions that you and I made as the parents, but then there were decisions where we had input from the kids. And so it was important that everyone understand that everyone had input. Does not mean that the decision will still be made. Now I know that drove a couple of our other strong thinkers in the family nuts, because it was like, well, why am I even sharing? Because my decision, but is still important. It was an important value to have, and it is a way that possibly we were able to impact the other personalities in our family, so that they could understand the balance a little bit of when you're dealing with a feeler, right?
Well, I think that,
drum roll, Theresa Mabry.
Theresa Mabry.
All right, there we go.
I think what's helped us the most is that for me, I mean, we joke about me being heartless. I'm not heartless. I really do care for people, but I do know about myself. Once again, self-awareness. I very much know that I make decisions based on logic, objective. I try to be objective.
Sure.
And for you know yourself, and as partner awareness, I know you, is that you will help remind me, though, and this is where couple awareness comes in, where we work as a good team. I believe I help balance us towards more of the objective decision making, and then you balance us back towards making sure that we strive for harmony and the impact of some of those objective. And here's okay, folks, we've given this advice before, and it's not original to us. We've actually, John Gottman, one of our relationship kind of heroes in the relationship business, he makes an argument that couples that are healthy allow their partner to influence them. And his research would show that's the case. So apply that in this situation. But we would say that because I'm more thinking preference, Theresa is a feeling preference, is that we've allowed one another to influence. We've been able to influence one another is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
So your feeling has helped our relationship and us impact other people, and my thinking has helped us impact other people.
Right.
So I feel like there's really a team effort because we understand and accept one another for where we're coming from. And folks, that really is a decision to say, let my partner influence me, but not necessarily fully change, because it's not fair to expect me to move to a feeling side of making decisions. And it's not fair to ask you to live in the world of logic where I'm at, kind of this thinking area.
Which is what
analyzing
we were
things.
Unpacking before we started this.
That's
is
right.
that, allow each other to be an influence. But yeah, you cannot change your partner's personality. So it is who they are. So you need to recognize it, accept it, figure out how to be the best together, And when you have those areas of challenge, because I mean, sure, I've helped you, you've helped me, but that's also to say that we've both been irritated before at our too strong thinking and too strong feeling aspects. When you do have the challenge, how do you work together in that, and how do you still accept that? Okay, we still have to utilize both of these people to come to a conclusion about something, resolve a conflict, whatever it is, make a decision, do something. So,
so folks, which of you is do you feel is more thinking preference when making decisions, and which of you is more feeling, or are you both the same? This is how do you make decisions, thinking or feeling? And even during this podcast, kind of mark down, if you're by yourself, mark it down, make a mental note or write down on a piece of paper, keep track. And, or if you're listening together, even hit pause real quick and turn to one another and discuss it. That's that's the beauty of having the podcast on your favorite platform. Hit pause for a minute and take notes.
All right. Are we ready?
Here we go.
Last one.
The last one of the four would be, This is a question of our attitude towards our outer world or external world. It's how we orient ourselves. Now, this will make sense, but the two words are, once again, definitions. So, judging, perceiving.
Yes.
It doesn't mean if you're a perceiver, you're more perceptive. And it doesn't mean that just because you're judging means you judge people all the time.
Right.
That's not what they mean.
Right.
Judging and perceiving fall into these two different ways of orienting ourselves toward the outside world. And this all makes sense. So here's the deal. Judging people with a judging preference, they want their external world to be organized and orderly. They look at the world and see decisions that need to be made. Now, on the other hand, a perceiving preference is one who seeks to experience the world, not organize it. So these folks are going to seem less organized, and judging they're going to seem more orderly and organized. So perceiving preferences have look at the world and see options that need to be explored. Yeah. So the good way to I like the way of understanding this more clearly by saying that if you someone with a judging preference sees a task at hand, a goal ahead of them, a project, if you will, a homework assignment, a major paper, and they would say, here are the steps that I need to take. They organize the steps sequentially in order to achieve the task at hand. Now, someone with a perceiving preference, they would see that you hand them the exact same assignment, task, goal, and they're not necessarily going to lay out the steps. In fact, that's not going to be their preference. They're going to look at that and just kind of in their own will and way, and they'll just kind of meander around. And it may seem like they're not. It may come across like they're lazy or they're procrastinators, but it's not necessarily true. They're just kind of like eventually they get it done,
right?
But they don't necessarily do it in a sequential order or what would make sense. So people who are judging would prefer being organized, systematic, methodical. They make short and long-term plans, and then they follow through on those plans. On the other hand, those that are perceiving are going to be adaptable, curious, casual, open-ended. I'm getting twitchy on this one too. Just reading this other one because I'm clearly one of these. Adjust flexibly to new information and changes. They're just more laid back about things.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's you're hearing one of those lists, one of those descriptions very clear for, I think, both of us.
Right.
Yeah. We fall one side, don't we?
Yeah, we do. On this one, we are very similar.
We are,
which is good. So, okay, so drum roll. Both David and Theresa are judging.
We're very organized people. We like to
No, what we really do is we just judge others.
We just,
No.
no, now you're going to throw them all off. We told them, no, that's not what it means. Okay.
Sorry. Okay.
Yes, we are
Just
definitely
kidding.
organized.
Yeah, let's go over those words again.
So here are some words that describe. So the words that describe Theresa and myself would be organized, decision, control, now, closure, deliberate, and plan.
Yep.
Now, if you're a perceiver, your words are flexible, information, experience, later, options, spontaneous, wait.
Yes. I mean, we love ourselves some strong perceivers within the family and in our friendships. But man, is it ever sometimes it's humorous to sit back and watch because you're like, yep, it's totally you. And then other times it's frustrating because you're like, no, I really need a decision on this, like trying to put something on a calendar, right? Woo, when you're dealing with a perceiver, trying to put something on a calendar, sometimes they may jump in and put it on with you and be like, yeah. And then almost like 2 days or the day of even, you might get that text or that call or whatever and be like, hey, so I can't make it because something else has come up. And that whole options thing, they just love to have their options open.
Which is not a bad thing.
Which it isn't a bad thing
it's,
unless you are truly like trying to have like, I don't know, a meeting or do or take a trip or go do something like that.
So on the negative side, those that are judging are like, you're so uptight. And on the perceiving side, it's like, you're so lazy or you're procrastinating all the time. Now, here's the thing. There are perceivers that can be uptight.
Absolutely.
In life. And there are people with judging preference who are lazy or procrastinate. But with the preference, so it doesn't mean that all judgers are always organized at all times. It's just that's the preference.
Right.
So we like that. I like the illustration of, or the example of, laziness, because lazy people come in all stripes. They don't have to be one set personality or not.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a negative trait, not a personality personality trait.
Right.
That's a negative
character
habit.
quality.
Character quality. That's right.
Yep.
So with judging and perceiving, the whole idea of judging people like to have things decided. They resist reopening decisions. They try to avoid last minute stresses. So that's a key too, is they help avoid that. Now, perceivers, on the other hand, like to explore options. They resist cutting off options, making decisions too soon. They feel energized by those last minute pressures.
Yeah.
And so that's not, what we just listed there are not bad things at all. It's just different. So let's go back to our whole idea of how this applies to marriage. You and I are blessed because self-awareness, partner awareness, couple awareness, we know that if you want something organized and put in a sequential order and a task accomplished and done, tied off, talk to the Mabrys. We're there for you. We're your people. But what do you do, though, with a couple that one is judging and one is perceiving, or if both are perceiving, they may seem like you can't pin them down on anything.
You can't.
That's it, which you may not be able to. But as long as the couple understands that, and that's not wrong or right. Theresa and I just want to make sure it's clear to everybody out there that we really, there's no wrong answer here.
Right.
If you're both perceivers, if you're one a judger, one a perceiver, the key for that one is understanding one another. The judging person is going to let their partner influence them by being more laid back at times and take it easy, not be uptight. And the perceiver, let your partner influence you by helping organize and get things done. And then communicate well.
Yes.
There's a partner, there's a married couple that we know that they have an agreement. One is strong perceiving or strong judging, one strong perceiving, and they have an agreement on certain circumstances they need to be on time and on schedule. They're work related, right?
Mm-hmm.
For the person that's judging particularly. And then there are other occasions that they can be laid back and not be super organized, like on days off or vacations.
Right.
And so that appeals to the perceiver. So that's a couple that really worked at and communicated how are we going to accommodate one another and respect one another and work as a team rather than against one another.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I feel like even though you and I, like, we are the same on this, one of the ways of, like, an example would be we need to clean the house. And so I will make a list, and I've done this for a long time, right? Make a list,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yep.
and then we will each come look at the list, pick something on the list, go accomplish it, come back, cross it off, move to the next thing. And it doesn't matter what kind of order we're doing it in, right? But you appreciate the fact that that I went ahead and made a list. My arms are wrapped around kind of like the more control. We both like control,
Yep.
but there's certain areas where I'm like, I've got control of this and I kind of know. And then we just kind of boom, 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 tick through, right?
Yeah.
And so that is an example of how you and I as two judgers kind of like accomplish something together, get along or whatever. And I do feel like when we have been coaching couples and when we do have the opposites or a strong J, a strong P, it can be a little bit more of a challenge. We have to help walk them through how it really does stem, like you said, on great communication. And you've got to be able to communicate well because there's a lot of times where, like, I feel like this comes up a lot, especially with like household tasks where, a judger's like, well, can't you see what needs to be done? This, and this. And, this is how the dishes need to be washed. This is how I would go about doing it.
Yes.
I would do this, and then this, and then this, and then this. And if the perceiver is like, hey, I'll take care of the dishes, but they may have a completely different style or way to do it. As a strong J, sometimes that person, you just need to leave the room. Because if you stay in the room, you're going to become irritated at how the perceiver has accomplished the task because it wasn't in you didn't have control of it. And that's where I feel like for a lot of the couples that we've coached, where we've had these strong J's, strong P's, and they're trying to work together, it really does fall to that communication and then kind of letting go.
That's right.
Because you have to remember, I mean, we're adults. This isn't This isn't a parent-child relationship. This is an adult-to-adult relationship.
And I think the key understanding here is let your partner influence you, but do not project negatively your personality preference upon your partner, making them conform to your personality preferences.
Right. Because in the end, the dishes will be done.
That's right. That's right.
So, yeah.
So here's the deal. Let me review real quick the questions. So the first one is, where do you prefer to focus your attention? Where do you get energy? That's extroversion, introversion. The next question would be, how do you prefer to take information in? That's sensing and intuition. And then the next question would be, how do you make decisions? And that's thinking and feeling. And the final question that we just covered is, how do you deal with the outer world? And that's judging and perceiving.
Okay. So when we're looking at these, so those are the four, you're going to have 4 letters, right?
4 letters.
So I am an ESFJ.
ESFJ.
ESFJ. So I'm an extroverted, sensing, feeling, judger.
Yep. And I am an ENTJ, ENTJ, extroverted, intuitive, thinking,
Judging.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah. So there's when you are not just one part of your personality, one of those questions, but you are the four of those placed together. Now, here's the encouragement that we'll repeat from last week. That is, take the 16 personalities you go to the 16 personalities that are in the show notes.
Right.
Click on that. Take the free test. That's not our website, somebody else's, but that's a free one. Take that. Find out.
Not a sponsor.
Find out what your 4 letters are. Mm-hmm. And then this is the easiest advice right here. Google those 4 letters. Mm-hmm. Like if I put in ENTJ, there is so much information on the internet that give you summaries. But here's a summary for Theresa and myself at this time. Theresa, you are an ESFJ.
Hold on. I think you should read mine, and then I'm going to read yours.
That's a fabulous idea.
Okay.
So, Theresa, tell me if this is you. This is those 4 letters together.
ESFJ.
Make this. You are warm-hearted, conscientious, and cooperative. You want harmony in your environment. You work with determination to establish it. You like to work with others to complete tasks accurately and on time. You are loyal, follow through even in the small matters. You notice what others need in their day-by-day lives and try to provide it. You want to be appreciated for who you are and for what you contribute. Does that feel accurate?
Pretty close.
I think so. That's my wife, ladies and gentlemen.
Ding, ding,
That's
ding.
my wife.
That is true.
I love that woman.
All right.
She's right on.
What is the EN? Okay. So, David, you are the ENTJ. Okay.
I'll just tell you right now before you even read it. Folks, when you hear this description, you've known David Mabry.
Exactly.
Right there. I just talked about myself in the third person.
You did. You did just talk about yourself in third person. Okay. So an ENTJ, you are frank, decisive, assume leadership readily, quickly see illogical and inefficient procedures and policies, and develop and implement comprehensive systems to solve organizational problems. You enjoy long-term planning and goal setting. Usually well-informed, well-read, enjoy expanding their knowledge and passing it on to others. Forceful in presenting their ideas.
There you have it.
That,
Theresa,
ladies and gentlemen,
is that correct?
That is spot on to my husband, David.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the description right there. But this is why Theresa and I really love the Myers-Briggs. And for couples, there's so much more. That's why this is a 3-part series. And actually, we could practically have a podcast just about Myers-Briggs and personalities and how to get along, because there's so much more to this, which that's why we're going to go third week next week.
Yep.
Part 3.
Part 3.
But here's the key. Take the assessment, find out what your 4 are. You already did. If you've listened to last week and this week, you've come up with what you think your 4 letters are.
Yeah, you self-typed.
And then you take the assessment and you see if the one online with 16 personalities matches up with what you self-typed. And then you look up, you do, with 16 personalities will give you a summary anyhow. They're going to give you all kinds of information. They're a very helpful website. But you can even Google your 4. If I Google ENTJ, I'm going to get a whole plethora of information. And then on YouTube, you can watch YouTube videos where that's the suggestion. Now, think about how, as a couple, your 2 personalities mix well together.
Right.
Theresa's description and my description of the summary, we make a really good team. But there are also some areas that we butt heads because I'm an ENTJ and she is an ESFJ.
Yep.
And we are aware of that, and we want to work better as a team going forward.
Like I want to have harmony and you want to have strong leadership.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So sometimes that doesn't mesh quite the same.
But all I have to say, honey, is that you complete me.
Stop. Oh my gosh. All right. So that's the wrap up, right? For today.
Yeah. So that's, and for next week.
Before we get to the verse here.
Yeah. So next week, what we're going to do in the third part of this series is we would love to introduce to you, now that you know the 4 dichotomies from the Myers-Briggs, there is an additional component that we teach couples and families, which would be the Ocean of Types by our friend Dr. Joseph Tucker. And it's basically to understand your type in a simpler way. And you are an ocean animal, and Teresa's an ocean animal, and her ocean animal is different than my ocean animal. And it's a way of understanding yourself, your partner, and you as together as a couple and going forward. So join us next week when we talk about which ocean animal that you
want
are.
to come back. Come back and listen.
Yeah, it's a fun one. It'll be a fun one.
Come back and listen to part 3.
Part 3. Our verse of the day is?
Verse of the day is going to come out of Romans 14:13. It says, "Therefore, let us stop passing judgment on one another. Instead, make up your mind not to put any stumbling block or obstacle in your partner's way." Romans 14:13. And I thought that was just a really good verse, especially talking about the differences that there are with people and as a relationship and a marriage. And so stop passing judgment on one another. Instead, make up your mind not to put any stumbling block or obstacle in your partner's way. Romans 14:13.
That's excellent.
Good.
Hey, folks, we are so appreciative that you've joined us again this week. It's an honor to partner with you, and we are hopeful that your marriage, your relationship is being built up and strengthened. We'd love for you to like, subscribe, rate, review, whatever podcast platform you use, and share with other people. We want to give a special shout out this week and a request, and that is this, is that we have a Facebook page, One Another Marriage. You could find us by doing a search. We would love for you to go on and whether you do Facebook or YouTube, those are the 2 primary ways. And we'd love for you just to give a shout out and a hello to us, especially if you're from Germantown, Wisconsin. But whether you are from any city out there around the world that's listening, hey, give us a shout out on Facebook or on YouTube. We would love to hear from you. We'd love to hear from the One Another couples that are out there. Thank you so much for joining us.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.